Okay, yes, I'm finally doing this video, and yeah, I admit that I'm doing this for views. So what? I have an opinion. I hope me having an opinion about this event does not diminish the fact that, yeah, you want to understand why he keeps getting away with all of this. Well, there are no formal charges filed yet. Not that I'm defending him or anything, but it's becoming obvious here that if you're going to apply, if we are going to finally apply the comparisons between him and Austin Jones, then you would realize that, yeah, things only stopped, or at least tried to slow down on the case of Austin Jones by the time that the FBI or the authorities got involved here. It's pretty messy. In case you haven't known yet, or you haven't seen that brilliant documentary by The Right Opinion about Austin Jones, it's about a guy who got into jail because he solicited videos from minor girls, for twerking videos. So it's the equivalent of soliciting inappropriate videos, or videos of minors doing inappropriate behavior, or behavior inappropriate for their age. I if ever I'm trying to be technical about this, it's because there are certain terms in the law that are used in order to at least pinpoint, or to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that someone is guilty of doing inappropriate things. Not always an easy thing if you're a prosecutor, or at least part of the team that's trying to prove Austin Jones guilty of this. And then, yeah, he ended up serving time for this after he was convicted guilty. Majority of, if not all of the content, his social media accounts were nuked or removed from YouTube and all other social media accounts. The only way that you can know about what happened to Austin Jones is if you are subscribed, or you're at least watching some of these commentary videos regarding the situation. And it's pretty unfortunate that all it took is one person, and then supporting statements, several supporting statements that would prove that, yeah, Austin Jones was being inappropriate with minors doing things. So now we have this situation with James Charles admitting in his video doing inappropriate things, being not attracted to older men. He is attracted to the younger men. Sorry if I'm using male pronouns for James Charles. Either he's using the appropriate nouns for these, or simply because he's trying to, oh god, I'm sorry if I'm a little confused about this use of pronouns. I'm not from the US. The pronouns used in my home country, in my native language, they are gender neutral. If you're Filipino, you know what that means. So going back to that situation with James Charles, he admitted doing these things, soliciting these uh, soliciting some photos from minors on TikTok, whether they feel uncomfortable about it or not, and still doing it, even if he may have a hint that the guys, or the young boys, or the, okay, let's just call them boys if you want to be technical about it, are really uncomfortable about this. Like, some of these photos, some of these Snapchats, they really ended up going viral online, and I end up feeling bad for these young boys that they had to go through all of these stuff because they get accused of being cloud chasers. They get accused of riding over the popularity or the notoriety of James Charles. It's like, how many years had been since the Bi Sister video? How many years had been since rumors circulated about James Charles being inappropriate with minor boys? Like, it's been quite a while, and still nothing is happening. No prosecution, no files were charged, or, sorry, no, nothing, no charges were filed yet, wherever they may be applicable, because it might involve state lines here. So, what does it take to really make some people accountable? Because I would have to agree with some people saying that he, James Charles, may have admitted to some things, but he doesn't seem like taking accountability into it. And if you know the difference between admission and confession, admission is more like admitting to doing something and not really feeling guilty about it. Confession is well, there's the admission plus the guilt that comes with it. So it's what I was taught in school in the past about the difference between those two words. So it's quite sad. So him admitting to these things but not really feeling sorry for it, it it makes it harder and harder for other victims who may have not yet come out to really come forward with their stories. Because if you have influencers like James Charles who are perceived to have to be on speed dial with Susan Wojcicki. Susan Wojcicki is CEO of YouTube. It makes it harder for you to come forward with your own story as well. It makes it harder to come forward and admit that you have been, yeah, you were a fan of James Charles, and that James Charles thought that you being a fan can be an excuse for you to send him inappropriate photos. I mean, it has happened in the past where that's basically what happened with Austin Jones, right? He had a lot of fans, and the main difference though with Austin Jones is that he got in trouble with this because his victims were young girls, minors. So the law applied on Austin Jones. How come they could not apply it on James Charles? Is it because the victims were minor boys? Like, can it not be applied to both people if they turn out to be guilty? Can they not be, I mean, what kind of law do you have here? I have to check back on my notes later on because I can sense that this is not the last time I'll be talking about this. Um, and so, oh, sorry about that. A lot of people are still waiting for Morphe to finally make a statement about this. Either they will drop James Charles, whether or not there will be any charges filed against him or not. Because if they have done this to other influencers, if they have managed to drop other beauty influencers over less serious stuff, how come they can do this over with James Charles? It's like, is there some favoritism going on? Is there some influence peddling going on? Pardon my choice of words, but uh, the more I look into this, the more I end up feeling confused why James Charles is famous, and he becomes more famous than the alleged victims of plagiarism that he did, with the exception of the Try Guys, of course. Yeah, I've read about those as well. I know I will get in partial trouble for saying this, that I would be accused as a cloud chaser myself. I just happen to have an opinion, and opinions are not facts, to borrow the words. Nick Snyder, the viewer's voice, hello, big shout out to you. So, and I've also watched that video, but Aphrodite about the psychic reading. Not much into psychic readings that much, but it can be a good video to look back into, just in case we're all waiting who would finally file the charges, who would finally um, extend the long hand of justice against whoever is guilty. Because if James Charles keeps saying that he is uncancelable, that might bite him back in the ass. Let's see. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Lol. Uh, See you on the next video. Bye bye.